Two trucks having sex. Two trucks having sex. My muscles involuntarily flex. Two trucks having sex. Two trucks having sex. My muscles involuntarily flex. Two pickup trucks making love, American made.
Listen up, Autothoughts and Decepticlowns. You're listening to Prime Cut's a non-linear history of the Transformers franchise on television. I'm one of your hosts, Audrey.
I'm your other host, Nero.
Hey, stuff starts to happen in these episodes of Animated, huh?
Some real stupid stuff, and we dare to talk about it.
I'm so fascinated by you focusing on that episode. When I feel like the first episode is the much more important one.
It's the way more important one. I just really like Weird Al.
Yeah.
And I like that episode. I think it's a very funny one.
So you've heard me talk about the Starscream death counter many times before, both for this series and others. This is the episode where it stops being relevant. Because it actually just goes off the charts. Welcome to Animated Season 2, Episode 3, Mission Accomplished.
Yep. So this episode starts off with Ironhide calling into Ultra Magnus, and he's not having he's not having a good time. He's like, oh fuck, oh shit, Decepticons attacking us out of nowhere. We've already lost a space bridge. Send help, Jesus fuck.
And Magnus responds to this with, versus no you didn't.
He just hangs up. He's like, well, I guess we should. He's like, well, we should go back to Cybertron because it seems like the war might be back on. And Optimus, you're gonna come with us. And he's like, well, hang on a minute. Hold on, sir. I don't think I can do that. There's Decepticons here too.
We get a lot of there are no Decepticons and Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
In this episode, there are no Decepticons in Detroit Sing Se.
Like they haven't picked up any signals because they're masking their signatures, but like they're pretty confident that there can be no Decepticons on this planet.
Yeah, to an extent. Like, I think there is definitely also the acknowledgement, though, that they don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And they're just, like, going with it.
I think Sentinel is just the loudest one in the room, and so he gets he gets to sway Magnus's opinion a little bit. But after this episode, I get the feeling Magnus is starting to get fed up with his ass, so, you know. But yeah. So Optimus, he says, "Well, I have to stay on Earth to find the Allspark shards and hunt the Decepticons here." And Magnus is like, "No, you got to come with us because you're involved now."
Yeah, and the most important part of this is that Magnus not only is like the elite squad basically saying there aren't Decepticons on Earth, they're also saying, we need to make sure everyone thinks Megatron is dead.
Yeah, like, basically Sentinel blames Optimus for this recent Decepticon insurgency, because he's the one who said he saw Megatron, like, a few years ago. And so it's like,
yeah.
we need you...
Which, again, obviously...
The central conflict of this episode is... They want Magnus and Sentinel want Optimus to take the stand at like a public hearing on Cybertron and say, number one, the Allspark was not destroyed, it's fine, and number two, Megatron is super dead. Yeah,
which again, whether or not there are Decepticons on Earth, up to some debate. These two things are objectively untrue, and Optimus knows it. And he's like, okay, so you want me to spread fake news in the mainstream media?
He's not going to do it. He refuses to do that shit. And Sentinel is pretty mad at him. But this, it's not just they have to leave Earth. There's another complication of them leaving Earth, which is Sari doesn't have a dad anymore.
Right.
So where is she gonna go?
So she's specifically like, first I lose my dad, then I have to lose you guys, and Optimus is like, sorry, that's bureaucracy, which is
Blame
like
Sentinel.
not great. And then like Sentinel like comes in to like basically is like, we're like elite life forms, not babysitters for organics.
Yeah.
And he's like, remember, Optimus, do what he's like, a word of advice, do what Ultra Magnus wants. And it's like some quite literal cog in the machine language here.
He puts his arm around Optimus like, hey, listen, you do all this stuff for Magnus and me, and like I'll put in a good word and I'll get you reinstated at the Elite Guard so you can ditch this backwater detail fiction space bridges and stuff, man. It's all gonna be fine. Like, really, just go along.
But what I found really interesting about it was like the literal language used in it, because he really does say the like, so you want me to be like a gear churning something out, and it's like, it's language that's like literal because they are robots. Right? So like saying, when they say like, oh, you want me to be a cog in the in like this war machine, it's a literal cog in a literal war machine. It's really interesting.
Meanwhile, Starscream wakes up and he's trash. Literally, he's garbage. He's on a boat full of garbage.
Yeah. Well,
if you'll remember, dear listeners, last time we saw him, he got the fuck murdered out of him by Megatron at the beginning of, I believe, the finale episode of season 1.
So, listeners, I don't know if you've ever watched Happy Death Day, but we're about to have a kind of Happy Death Day situation going on here.
So Starscream wakes up. He is immediately like yelling at Megatron because he thinks, he's still back in that moment. Then he cycles through a few things like, okay, wait, hang on. I'm not sensing any Decepticon signals, including my own. Oh god, am I dead? Wait, no, this isn't the Well of All Sparks. This is clearly this shitty fucking city on this shitty fucking planet. I need to figure this out.
Yeah. Now, I will say, by no means do you have to hand it to animated. Under no circumstances do you have to hand it to animated Starscream. But, there is a part of me that really admires his confidence.
Oh yeah.
He has more confidence than literally any other Starscream. And is quite suicidal about it.
Well, yeah, so, he flies off. We cut back to the Decepticon mountain base and get the update that not only are the Decepticons now shielded from scanners within this mine, but Blitzwing or Sumdac has made stealth modules for all of them so that they can move freely without detection.
Yeah, and Sumdac's also like, damn, it'd be crazy if I had like a tachyon transmitter.
Yeah, so
this, piece of sci-fi stuff. Too bad Earth's technology is too primitive for that. And Megatron's like, watch this.
So the reason the tachyon transmitter gets brought up is because Megatron's like, great stuff, we can move around now. Now I need you to make something else for me. See, all of my troops...
All right, this is for the communicator.
Yeah, all my troops are out there causing trouble, and I'm a huge fan of that. That's fucking sick. Problem is, I don't have any way of communicating with them without exposing my position, so I need you to make me a subspace communicator. And Sumdac's like, well, I can't do that. It requires a tachyon transmitter, a thing that humanity could never hope to invent in 1,000 fucking years. And Megatron's like, that's fine. I'll just have my boys jack the Elite Guard's catalytic converter, and you can make one.
Back with the Autobots, the Autobots may not be babysitters for organics, but they choose someone worse to do the job.
It's so yeah, they go down their list of humans they know, adult humans that they are aware of. Number 1, Isaac Sumdac, missing, can't do that. Number 2, Captain Fanzone. He's around. He exists. Number 3, Porter C. Powell, bastard, and literally everyone else is a supervillain.
Yeah, four through the rest of the list is just criminally insane folk.
So they choose Captain Fanzone, who is not excited to hear that he is being assigned father.
It is also like really funny because like Optimus is trying to like put Sorry into a foster system,
Yeah, basically.
and like figure out how she's going to like survive, while Sentinel's like literally breathing down his neck and being like, "Hey, so you're gonna capitulate? Capitulate?
Oh yeah,
capitulate?"
It's even worse because Optimus isn't here doing any of this because he gets put on quote unquote protective custody by Sentinel. Which is, don't leave the ship or I'll fucking arrest you. So it's the rest of the Autobots trying to help. And, they're not... Some of them aren't great with people skills. You got Ratchet there. You got Bumblebee there. And Fanzone, he's not thrilled. But it is. I love their description of, like, you're the number one human that we know.
Well... That's not even true. That's not even true because it's Sumdac.
That's true. So you are the number one alive and present human that we know.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sentinel's still on that. Like, you gotta lie, bro. You gotta just tell him. You gotta tell him the lie to hold the state power together. And Optimus is like, I can't. I'm not gonna fucking go in front of a bunch of people and tell them shit that I know is not true.
Max is like, but why not?
It would be so
whiny.
cool. And during this entire conversation, we cut outside. Blitzwing and Lugnut literally just walk up, steal the tachyon transmitter, and leave, and nobody fucking notices.
They were so fucking absorbed in this argument that they didn't realize Blitzwing and Lugnut, of all people, were doing a stealth mission.
Do you guys not have fucking
and they
cameras?
Succeeded at it.
Do you guys not have cameras under your ship?
Or like any form of alarm system?
Bro.
Anyway.
But so they fly off, and Starscream trails them back to the Decepticon base. And yeah, instantly tries to jump Megatron for revenge. And
almost as instantly dies again for it.
Look, the reason he almost killed Megatron the first time was because he tricked him. I don't know if anyone should challenge Megatron to a one-on-one fight, especially not when he's at full power and he's really mad that you're somehow still alive. So he gets like fucking sword slashed and then
blasted,
just fucking pumped full of fusion cannon until he dies. Oh, wait, there's a really good line actually where Megatron's like, you want to be a leader so bad you couldn't even lead a parade, and then kills him cold.
Yeah. So here's something they notice for the first time. So Megatron's like, make sure he's dead for real this time. And Lugnut looks over and like opens his chest. It's like, oh, yep, no spark there. So, super dead. And Megatron's like, great, toss him off this cliff.
Dump the body.
Yeah. And they do that. And then Starscream wakes up again.
And he has a real existential crisis for like 3 seconds. Because like, oh god, am I actually a ghost for real? But no. There is an Allspark shard lodged in his forehead that is keeping him alive.
And what we get here is probably the best montage that Transformers has ever done. They keep killing Starscream.
Yeah, we get under audio of Megatron's like broadcast to the Decepticon forces of like telling them I am alive, I am here, and I am working to join you, but you should, keep fighting in my name and we will retake Cybertron. Under that, we just get Starscream trying everything under the sun to fucking kill Megatron and just repeatedly getting owned.
Yeah, again, happy death day.
Yep. And eventually he was like, okay, this isn't working.
Yeah, finally he's like, all right, this isn't working, but I've identified the problem. The problem is I keep trying to get him on his home turf. I need to lure him outside.
Luckily, he finds another Allspark shard in an interesting looking garbage truck that's like parked off to the side. I don't know why we get this little cameo of Wreck-Gar's alternate mode, because that's clearly not actually Wreck-Gar, but it's pretty funny that it's just another garbage truck that looks like him.
So it's not like explained like extremely well in my opinion, but Starscream's able to find these other shards because of the shard in his own head.
Yeah. It's like the Allspark key.
Yeah.
Allspark can sense Allspark. I want to talk about a couple of these deaths though, because there's some great
let's
ones.
do it.
So the first one, Starscream busts through the wall of the cave and just starts blasting Megatron while he's like brooding in his throne. And Megatron, completely unfazed by all of the gunfire, just pulls out his swords and runs up on him and just fucking gets him.
Yep.
So they dump him in the river again. Death number 2, he tries to go for the stealthy approach, but instead Megatron just turns around and shoots him in the face.
So good.
Number 3, he catches Megatron like looking at the moon, once again brooding. He tries to throw a bomb at him from like really far away, and Megatron just catches it and throws it back. And that's the point where he's like, okay, I need a new approach. I can't die, but also I'm not making any forward progress in my plan.
Yeah. But there's others you see in this montage.
So we get back to the Autobots here, and this is where we kind of see first we get Magnus is like telling Optimus, I know it doesn't feel good, but like you gotta think of what's best for like us, right, to just make this report. And Optimus is still not willing to do it, but this is interrupted by a Allspark charged train, out of control train, and so the elite guard go out to handle it because Optimus is not allowed to leave the ship. Well, specifically, Magnus and Jazz go out to handle it. Sentinel is left on babysitting duty.
Yeah.
There are a few things that make Optimus suspicious, though. Namely that Jazz picked up this thing on the scanners with like bursting with Allspark energy.
Yeah, he's like, hey, we were only able to identify it using Sari's key before this, so... What's up?
Seems weird. I suspect Decepticon activity, and Sentinel's like, shut the fuck up about Decepticons. Holy shit. Actually, no. He sees Starscream because he like sees him flying above the clouds.
He does a thermal scan.
Yeah, and he's like, oh fuck, that's Starscream. And Sentinel's like, I don't know who that is. You should sit down and shut up, or I'm gonna put you in the stasis cuffs.
So Optimus gets to fulfill a dream he's had for a long time, and takes Sentinel out
easily. Fucking provokes him and manages to dodge his like tackle and puts him in the stasis cuffs and then walks out. So this train, we get to see Sari, quote unquote, interviewing Fanzone.
This is why I hate children.
Yes, we get a permutation. This is why I hate kids. I feel like, Fanzone to me. I guess we know he has a wife because she fucked a police robot. So
that's right, he got cucked.
So I was about to say he's clearly living the single life, but who knows? Maybe he's not. Maybe he is.
Could be living. Sure. A lot of childless couples out there.
That's true. And his wife also could have left him for a handsome police robot. So the Autobots get a call in about this runaway train and peel on out. And, Sari and Fanzone follow. So the train is, as I said, out of control and going to explode once the Allspark fully overloads its engine. It's generally bad.
It's not, ideal.
No. Because also apparently the explosion will take out most of downtown. I don't know what the fuck power source Sumdac is using for these trains, but it seems unstable.
Yeah. And of course, this is Starscream's goal.
Mm-hmm.
Because his... I'm not quite sure how he came to this conclusion. I mean, it wasn't wrong, to be fair to him, I guess. But he was like, the only way to get Megatron out is by causing Big Boom.
It's like he wants to set up a big Allspark signal to draw them out, which he does. Megatron and Blitzwing are drawn out. Problem being that they fly above Starscream and immediately spot him.
Oh, I do want to mention one thing about Starscream. So again, he's alive, but he doesn't have a spark, which according to fandom has really interesting implications about his potential sex life.
You'll have to you mean elaborate.
Elaborate. Okay, so one of the forms, one of the three most common forms that fans have decided Transformers might fuck is called spark sex. Which is literally like they open their spark chambers to each other and like they merge their sparks together.
Real the next level definition of soulmates.
Yeah, literal heart to heart connection.
Uh-huh.
Which you can't do anymore, which is very sad. You'll have to stick to sticky and plug and play.
From what I know about Starscream, I have a feeling he wasn't having a lot of true heart-to-heart connections. That's just something that I suspect about him and his personal life. Usually
in fandom, it also means that he's infertile because because you need to have a spark for pregnancy in a lot of
Starscream.
In a lot of Transformers fics.
Starscream, you will never be submissive and breedable.
So there's some facts for everyone.
Yeah, I like Ultra Magnus's attempted solution of getting the Allspark shard out, which is hit it like a golf ball with his big fucking hammer.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I mean, Ultra Magnus is playing golf. He's a fucking head of state. He's playing golf all the time, and I do believe he uses the Magnus hammer for that.
Yeah, and he actually cares about it. He doesn't use it for networking. He actually enjoys the sport.
Right. He's like, if you try to talk to him during your games about business, he's like, no, we're golfing. We're golfing. I don't want to hear about whatever you have to say. I want to hear about your fucking putting average, dude. So the Allspark shard sends a pulse that knocks out Magnus and Jazz, leaving the rest of the Autobots as the only ones who can stop this crazy thing. Also, Starscream is like, oh damn, I guess this didn't draw out Optimus, but I did draw out the Autobots, so at least I can do that. Or this didn't draw out Megatron, but I guess it did draw out the Autobots, so that's pretty good. And Megatron's just up there going like, you fucking idiot.
I'm going to beat you to death with my hooves.
It's so good what happens to Starscream later. So, they detach the passengers from the engine, so they, at least no one's going to get killed in a train crash, but they still cannot stop the train, even though they've removed the shard, because the engine is just still going. And trains are famously a very hard vehicle to stop. But, with a little elbow grease, you can stop anything.
And in this case, the elbow grease is mostly Bumblebee getting sorry to use the key to resonate with the shard and get it off.
Oh no! The shard doesn't stop the train. It's still about to crash into the
you're
tunnel.
right. It nearly crashes. It's Ratchet.
It's Ratchet, Bulkhead, and Optimus all have to stop the train, and Starscream's pretty mad about that. But he's like, "Fuck it, I'll try something else."
And that's when Megatron is like, "Hey, bitch!"
So he flies up. And we see Magnus arrive. Optimus hands him the shard, and he says, here you go, sir. And Magnus is like, hey, weren't you supposed to be on the ship? Why are you out here? And Optimus says, well, I suspected that this was a Decepticon trap. And he's like, well, I don't see any Decepticons. And that is when a Starscream plummets out of the sky. I love that we don't even see what happens. It just cuts.
It is also just the funniest expression on Starscream's face.
Yeah.
where he's like kind of irritated, but not a lot. And he just like crashes down. It's like there definitely was enough time for him to like, and he had the capacity to like fly away if he wanted to.
Oh, he did. We see the last thing we see of Starscream before he hits the ground is he's flying. Blitzwing and Megatron descend from the clouds, and Starscream goes, "Uh-oh," and like does a U-turn, and Megatron flies after him, screaming Starscream, and that's the last we see of him until he hits the ground.
Right, but I mean, like, as he's falling,
Yeah,
there is still enough time.
Oh,
Like,
I think he died. I think he died and came back to life. That's why his face has that weird expression. He got shot.
That's probably...
He got shot out of the sky, hit the ground, and then got up.
It's really funny. He just looks. You're probably right. I didn't even realize that, but he looks so just like annoyed, like inconvenienced.
So yeah, he hits the ground, and Sentinel has arrived at this point to arrest Optimus for making him look bad, and he sees Starscream hit the ground, and he's like, "Jesus Christ, what the fuck is that thing?" Optimus is like, "Oh yeah, you haven't seen one in person, have you? That's a Decepticon, buddy."
There's so many things that Sentinel has only like read about secondhand, which is very funny.
Yeah,
including just like other people on the other side of the war.
Yep. And by the way, so all the elite guard is here, the Autobots are here. Starscream gets up, and Magnus is like, "All right, stay back. I'll handle this."
Okay.
And
again, but in no circumstances do you need to give it to Starscream. But he does blast Magnus like 50 yards.
Yeah,
and it's pretty fucking funny.
He knocks his ass out. It's like, damn, dude, you really did only win the war because of the Allspark. I mean, I guess partially it is because Starscream is probably juiced because of the Allspark shard, but also he's been getting his ass handed to him by Megatron, who is not juiced by the Allspark. So, like, I don't know.
And also, like, Starscream, I think in animated maybe more than any of the other series, is a real threat.
Yeah.
Like, he's huge, first of all, and, like, single-handedly, for, if you remember in Season 1, took on, like, all of the Autobots.
Oh, yeah, and he does the same thing here, where he gets the shard that he was using on the train, just grabs it, and then just walks away. He doesn't, he hits, he blasts Magnus, he doesn't care about these other guys.
Yeah, but my point is that even before he was immortal...
Yeah,
he was like a really formidable person, and now he's
Optimus literally died fighting him. Like, he's no joke. And yeah, he completely like beats everyone's asses, like except for Sentinel and Optimus, because Sentinel is fucking turtling behind his shield, and Optimus is like, "Hang on, I got an idea. I'm gonna grab these stasis cuffs. You just keep him occupied. You just draw that aggro." And so he does, and Optimus hits him with the old fucking switcheroo and attacks him from the side and cuffs him while he's like just pumping lasers into Sentinel's shield.
He gets the muzzle again too.
He does. That is that like he was just yelling, and Magnus like, Jesus Christ, put a fucking muzzle on him.
They gag Starscream a lot in this series.
You blame him. There's also a bit where Optimus starts giving out orders because Sentinel is fucking frozen from a real Decepticon being there, and Sentinel gets pissy about it. It's like, you fucking giving orders, you wash out, how dare you? And Jazz has to be like, can we stop measuring dicks for 3 fucking seconds and get rid of the Decepticon, please? Can we please do that? So they do. And they get Starscream. And they get proof that there are Decepticons on Earth. So the Autobots get to stay. Yeah.
So they get 2 things. One, proof that the Decepticons are on Earth, and 2, Magnus realized, oh fuck, the Allspark shards. All right, y'all need to get those.
Yeah, he's like, ooh, that's no good to leave around. Yeah, you're gonna have to focus on that. He also is like, hey, Sentinel, You need to shut the fuck up sometimes. I don't think I like you anymore, Sentinel Prime. We're going home. But yeah, I mean, I like this. I like this bit where Sorry tells Fanzone's like, well, you don't need to look after me anymore. But hey, we can still hang out. And Fanzone's like, yeah, sure, man. Whatever.
So, if you recall from last episode, Megatron noted that this is the last bit we get from this episode, that there were two things the Autobots had that gave them sort of military supremacy. One was the communications network. Three things. One was their communications network, which they spent this episode solving. Two was the Allspark, which is a non-issue anymore. And the last thing is the space bridge. So back in Decepticon HQ, Megatron tells, I think Lugnut, right?
Yeah.
To reach out to their double agent on Cybertron, who's a great character.
Yeah, we don't know who that is yet, but you know.
But it's a great character who I'm excited to get to.
And yeah, let me just say, this is a fucking good plan, because their plan is that they're going to harass the Autobots at like the borders of their territory, take down space bridges, and then once Megatron has gathered enough strength, he will just swoop in and like take Cybertron when it is like the least defended. That's a good plan. Not used to Megatrons having those.
Yeah.
I love you, animated Megatron. You're so smart and sophisticated. And you killed Starscream 5 billion times.
Yeah. I had two notes, which was like Starscream death count 3 and then Starscream death count 10. And then I stopped.
So, enough about all that shit, though. It's time to
get weird.
It's time to hear about garbage. So the next episode is Garbage In, Garbage Out. And we open this with a city. It's a sanitation crisis, but it's not that the fucking trash workers are on strike because they're like robots. What's happening is that Sumdeck Systems is not servicing the trash bots because they're in a fucking contract dispute with the city of Detroit, and Porter C. Powell is trying to wring some more fucking money out of him because he's like that. He's on that grind.
This was I'm gonna have to be honest about this episode. It is like very capitalist.
Oh yes.
In a way that feels pretty bad to watch. I'm not gonna lie.
So Porter C. Powell's plan. He's got. Do you remember the very first episode when there were a bunch of nanobots that like made bug monsters happen?
Yeah, he's gonna cut costs and raise prices like every other motherfucker on this planet.
And he's gonna do it. He's gonna use the microbots. He's like, well, we reprogrammed them, so it should be good now. It's like, well, okay.
They are now designed to break down garbage into its like root molecules. How will it identify garbage? Shut up.
Shut the fuck up. But this has resulted in the Autobots being the ones who shoulder most of the sanitation work, because like, you know, they're still on trying to win back the trust of the good people of Detroit after that whole, you know, Megatron business.
Yeah.
And you know, no one's very happy about it because, you know, it's garbage day. But you know, the person who is perhaps the least happy about everything generally is, of course, Ratchet.
Yeah, this is a weird episode to be a Ratchet learning episode, but it is a Ratchet learning episode.
It is. He learns. I don't know what he learns, actually. I'm not sure what he learns, but he does
people
learn
skills.
something.
He learns people skills.
Sure.
Which Fanzone is, of all people, Fanzone is the one breathing down his neck about it. Yeah. That's how you know it's bad.
So, alright, there's one joke I really like, which is like Prowl, you know, he's like, wow, this job is real rough on the olfactory sensors. And then Sorry, who's sitting nearby, goes, yeah, and it smells too.
Yeah, and it smells bad too.
But yeah, Ratchet. To be fair, this dude is in the wrong. This dude is totally. I don't know what happened here, but Ratchet is picking up garbage with his magnets and moving it to the barge, and he picks up this guy's car, who apparently parked it here, although there wasn't a garbage pile at the time. I don't know if I believe that. But he's like, put it down. It's like an old man argument because they're both old crotchety bastards.
Yeah.
And, Ratchet's just, okay, I'll put it down, you fucking asshole. And he drops it into the lake.
Ask, win stupid prizes, right?
That's right. And then Fan Zone's like, hey, you need to act.
Can you like chill? Hey, yeah. Can you like chill?
And Optimus gets a grand idea. He's like, wow, I'm really tired of Bumblebee complaining about how he has to take out trash. Hey, Bumblebee, you get to be Grandpa's fucking minder for the day. You and Sora get to teach Grandpa how to be nice.
Yeah, have fun teaching Ratchet the meaning of friendship or whatever.
And then he leaves, and he is never seen again for the rest of the episode. He is chilling, not involved.
This makes Ratchet so much angrier, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh my god. So like when they drive off, Sari's key beams somewhere, and she doesn't seem to really register it.
Okay. Listen, I know she's a child, but this is like a really brain dead moment from her.
The garbage fumes are getting to her. She ain't like, thinking right.
Yeah, the key glows, and she's like, that's probably nothing.
Hallucinating again. The garbage fumes will do that to you. It's like fucking. It's like mirages in the desert. But yeah, she just leaves. But the key was pointing to
Mr. Weird Al Yankovic.
Mr. Weird Al Yankovic voicing Wreck-Gar, because in the '86 movie, Wreck-Gar's big debut scene was scored with "Dare to Be Stupid," a very good Weird Al song.
There's like a lot of meta to this episode, including, of course, a very direct reference to Dare to Be Stupid. Yeah. Yeah. So what I realized here at this point is that, like, this is literally just like the Heart Crystal arc of Sailor Moon.
Yeah, you're just making guys.
You're just making guys out of like regular objects.
Mm-hmm. And this is the first guy who has been made. So far, the Allspark shards have just, like,
granted
immortality to existing Cybertronians, or like turbocharged machines or whatever. But we know from the 2007 movie that, yeah, the Allspark can make guys. That is one of the things it can do, and it started making guys. And Wreck-Gar, this is an episode about Wreck-Gar trying to figure out what kind of guy he is.
I need there to be a vacuum cleaner one, like Sailor Moon.
Oh my god. So Wreck-Gar, he's trying to figure out what kind of guy he is.
I want to point out, Wreck-Gar is brought to life with what I would consider to be close to perfect English, although his vocabulary is very selective. Yes,
he mimics a lot of stuff, and he also has a bottomless backpack of garbage.
So he apparently doesn't know what police are.
No.
Because the first thing he sees, he's, screaming for someone to help him figure out what he's there for. Like, very existentially, why am I alive?
Uh-huh.
And he sees a blimp, and it says, the Detroit City Police Department, we're here to help. And the only word he recognizes from that, apparently, is help.
He's like, good enough for me. So he goes to find the Detroit Police Department. Meanwhile, in the Decepticon base, Lugnut has picked up another Allspark signature. And Megatron's like, great, go pick it up. And Lugnut, you know how he is. He goes into fucking praise Megatron mode. And literally, we pan over to Megatron, who has developed an eye twitch from this. And he just says,
pretty funny.
Lugnut, please just go.
Just
leave. Just go get it, please. Fucking God, I need some peace and quiet. So he runs out, and yeah, Wreck-Gar is just walking through town. And and getting yelled at by motorists who call him like a wretched piece of garbage or like a hulking wreck or whatever. This will become important shortly. And then we
Meanwhile,
see the Angry
Ratchet.
Archer. No. We gotta talk about the Angry Archer first. We haven't.
This happens before.
No, the Angry Archer appears before Ratchet is stuck in traffic and very normal about it. I've got the episode in front of me.
Okay.
Empirical evidence, but yeah, he accidentally allows the Angry Archer to escape because he's just like standing in the middle of the road. The cops crash into him. And so he's like, "Oh, hey, the police. He can help me figure out what kind of guy I am, right?" And the Angry Archer's like, "Forsooth, my good stinky lad, shalt thee dispense with these knights?" You know, him. And Wreck-Gar decides, "Oh, I must be a henchman. That's the kind of guy I am." So he throws these. Oh, also, one of these cops is inexplicably Irish.
No, I mean, that's just what cops in the U.S. are like.
Yeah. But that's like, I always thought of that specifically as like a Boston thing. There's a lot of Irish cops in Boston, partially because there's just a lot of like I know that Irish cops is like an old stereotype, right? But that's like a turn of the century stereotype. So it was just very funny that this dude had a fucking like leprechaun ass Irish accent that I'm pretty sure was Tom Kenny. I'm like 90% sure that was Tom Kenny.
Probably.
Anyway, Ratchet's stuck in traffic, and he's fucking mad.
But
Bumblebee's like, "Hey, don't worry, man. It's easy to get out of traffic. Just impersonate a police officer."
Ratchet is able to not commit a felony, because he runs into a pregnant woman.
Yeah, Spike is here with Carly, and he's like, "My wife is so pregnant, please get us to the hospital." And Ratchet's like, "What the fuck, do I look like a taxi?" And Sorry's like, "Bro, you're an ambulance." What do you think ambulances do?
Yeah, so this is literally Spike and Carly, which is very funny.
On their second child, because I believe Daniel is also in the show, so who knows who this kid is. But he won't be friends with Wheelie. But yeah, he eventually, so Ratchet gets Sorry convinces Ratchet to take these people to the hospital, and he's, just very grouchy about all of it. And he's like, "Okay, I'll get them there real quick." And so, you've heard of Crazy Taxi, but this is Crazy Wambulance.
So, Ratchet, I feel like this episode has had, Ratchet with, a almost visible meter you can see of his anger increasing, over the course.
It's like the Dark Souls frenzy meter. It's just slowly climbing.
Exactly. And, he just gets to a point where he starts spitting out a lot of microaggressions.
He does.
It's really some of the things I was like, Ratchet, you can't say that. So when eventually he runs into the Angry Archer and Wreck-Gar.
Yeah, so the Angry Archer is attempting to teach Wreck-Gar what robbery is. It's not going great. He's like, "Okay, here's what we steal from the rich and give to the poor, which is us." And Wreck-Gar goes, "Steal from the rich, got it." And he just takes all these jewels that the Angry Archer has laid out in front of him. And he's like, "Okay, very funny. Now give me my jewels back." And, Wreck-Gar pulls out a bunch of stuff that rhymes with jewels, like spools and whatnot.
Yeah, again, very selective vocabulary here.
He's a little rattled up in the head there. The Allspark didn't quite finish making him. And the Angry Archer's like, "Fine, whatever. We're gonna knock over this armored car." And Wreck-Gar's like, "Great, I knock stuff over." Oh, Angry Archer also gave him his name because he's like, "What do I call you?" And Wreck-Gar gives him a garbled bunch of things that
I have the phrase. It's worthless walking pile of garbage.
And Angry Archer's like, "Geez, that's long. We'll just call you Wreck-Gar for short."
And that is literally every word that he'd been called by just people on the street.
Not in any particular order, just sort of randomly arranged, which is very good. So yeah, back in the fucking ambulance, Ratchet's driving like a maniac, and
Spike and Carly realize that there's no driver.
I really love Spike going, "Oh my god, there's no driver. There's just some kid in the front seat." And Sorry just kind of looks back at him wordlessly. So they start freaking out, and Ratchet's like, "Can you fucking pipe down? I'm trying to figure out which one of these goddamn buildings is the hospital."
It's like, you fleshy meatbags. It's like, you can't say that, Ratchet.
Grandpa, when you get his grandpa's blood's up, the slurs are coming out, the racism is increasing. So yeah, he very, very nearly like gets hit by this armored car after Wreck-Gar knocks it over, quite literally. And
he's like, I don't know what Wreck-Gar is doing to this car. He's doing crimes to this car.
He's knocking it over. He's Wreck-Gar. He knocks cars over.
But then he starts like dismantling it.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I guess this is part of it."
And
Carly, yeah. So Ratchet, they deal with this. Bumblebee goes after Wreck-Gar and the Angry Archer. And Ratchet's
I want to point out one thing here, which is that so the reason why I'm talking about Wreck-Gar dismantling it is that he throws like a wheels on axes towards Ratchet, and Ratchet like catches it with his magnets. But then Ratchet like disposes of it by like carelessly flinging it over his shoulder, almost crushing Spike and Carly.
Yep.
It's like that scene in Gundam.
Yeah.
With the woman getting crushed by the shell.
The gigantic shell casing,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so they, after all of this, they go pursue the Angry Archer, but at this point, Wreck-Gar has now overheard Bumblebee and Ratchet talking about, "We're Autobots, we gotta go catch the bad guy," and so, Wreck-Gar's starting to get more ideas.
And I have to say, this was the point for me where I hate to say it, but Wreck-Gar really firmly like solidified himself as Gap Moe.
Goodness. He throws a toilet at Ratchet.
He's
and
so cute, though.
He is. He's very
Gap
cute.
Moe.
He also throws a rotten flank of beef at Bumblebee.
Like, the whole bottom half of a cow.
Yeah, like where did that even fit? But yeah, so he decides he's an Autobot. He's gonna go after the bad guy, which his running animation is so funny. He just like sprints over, and yeah, after all of this, Ratchet's like, "Hey, you guys want to you still want that ride to the hospital?" And Spike and Kurt are like, we'll call a cab. We don't need this.
We would like our child to live, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So Wreck-Gar stops the Angry Archer who has stolen the canister of nanobots by running in front of him and stopping. And
Archer just... So he's kind of Amelia Bedelia-ing it a bit. Mm-hmm. So on his way over, he heard, So basically, like, Ratchet and Bumblebee were arguing, which allowed the Archer to get away. Mm-hmm. And Sorry's like, "Hey, yeah, you're supposed to catch the bad guys. Remember that? Like, that's what Autobots do." And so Wreck-Gar's like, "Oh, okay, I catch bad guys." So he throws the Angry Archer vertically up. And
the Archer just, like, grapples and gets away. At this point,
Wreck-Gar's response to that is like, "Oh man, how am I supposed to catch him?"
Yeah. At this point, the nanobot tank has fallen into Wreck-Gar's like infinite garbage backpack, and Sorry realizes that he is putting off crazy amounts of Allspark energy. And Wreck-Gar says, "I'm Wreck-Gar. I'm putting out loads of Allspark energy," and he glows with a heavenly light. Ratchet's not happy. The meter fills. The meter is full now.
Okay, yeah, we want to talk about microaggressions. Here's a microaggression that almost destroys the city.
Yeah, so he's like, "All right, you are not an Autobot, and you never will be." And Wreck-Gar's like, "Yep, okay." And Ratchet says, "You were only good for one thing, garbage." And Wreck-Gar repeats that. Says, "All right, I guess I'm only good for one thing, garbage."
Wreck-Gar says, "Roger, Roger."
And he leaves.
As a garbage truck.
as a garbage truck. He transforms into a garbage truck and he interprets you're only good for one thing, garbage, as, oh, my job must be to spew garbage everywhere.
Well, specifically, his my job must be to bring garbage to the masses.
Yeah, he's like a reverse garbage man. He gifts you the garbage. He's garbage Santa.
It's garbage day.
Yeah, so during this, Lugnut finds him and zeroes in on him and stops him in his tracks and is just sort of generally perplexed by Wreck-Gar. But he asks, are you an Autobot? And Wreck-Gar says, I am Wreck-Gar. I am not an Autobot and never will be. And Lugnut says, oh, so you must be a Decepticon. And Wreck-Gar says, yeah, sure. I guess.
I'll incorporate that into my personal philosophy.
Yeah, and he just pulls a fucking Decepticon badge out of the garbage and slaps it on his chest. And Lugnut is celebrating. He's like, yes, a new loyal brother to join in Megatron's army. And Wreck-Gar says, hell yeah. What's a Megatron? I don't know what that is. Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Interesting factoid here. So in this episode, Lugnut uses a big mace that he's never used before. This is a weapon that came with his toy, and it's the only time in any animated fiction he ever uses it. It's this episode.
Fantastic.
Like that's it. His main mode of attack, as we'll see a bit later, is the punch of kill everything.
Right.
Which goes not well in this episode.
I mean, it goes about as well as the 2 other times he's used it.
Yeah, so back at the fucking armored car robbery site, Porter C. Powell and the cops have arrived because, as it turns out, the armored car was carrying this barrel of microbots for a public demonstration of the new technology. And,
Sorry, 1 second. By the way, did you know that Weird Al voiced this guy too?
Let me look. What guy?
The technician who explains the new version of the nanobots.
Oh, that was also him? That's
that's
cool.
also Weird Al.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, so,
But yeah, when the
I'm just
Autobots
looking...
here...
No, wait.
Well,
so I was just looking at the trivia, which is... So this is the first and only time we see Lugnut use his mace/axe weapon. Originally, Hasbro never told the cartoon team that they had included it with the toy. That's they only found out after season 1 was finished.
Well, it's because it looks like shit, is why they never used it. It's a bad weapon. It doesn't really look like anything is my main problem with it. It doesn't really look like an axe or a mace. It just looks like a bit of plane that he's hitting people with. But yeah, as soon as the Autobots hear that those fucking nanobots are loose somewhere, they're like, oh shit, we have to stop that.
Yeah.
And Ratchet knows exactly who currently has it. It's in Wreck-Gar's backpack. So they go to find him. He's hanging out on an airfield with Lugnut in vehicle mode. They don't notice him right away, despite the fact that he is a bright purple B-17 bomber. But but he transforms and he brings out the punch of kill everything. He's like, you will not stop Megatron's glorious plan. Yada yada. Your usual Lugnut stuff. And he very slowly goes to punch Ratchet. And Wreck-Gar says, ah, yes, the universal greeting.
High five, let's go.
Ba weep grana weep ninny bong, and goes in for the high five, and Ratchet immediately grabs Sorry and runs away. Like, I'll hit the deck.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times the poke works as intended, and how many times it backfires. Like, I wonder what the ratio is. I would bet it's not very good.
Not very good is my assumption as well.
I think this is 2-1. I believe this is 2 backfire, 1 work.
Yeah, that sounds right. So Lugnut transforms to attack, and Wreck-Gar removes the nanobot.
He's looking for something.
Canister?
He gets the idea that Lugnut wants something. Maybe a snack. So he's looking for that. And he finds the nanobot. He drips some of it onto Lugnut, and it immediately eats through his tail.
Yeah, Lugnut goes, "Youch, still pretty hot."
Yeah. And so Wreck-Gar's like, "Don't worry, I could fix this," and just removes Lugnut's ass.
Bumblebee like looks at this and he's like, "Well, I think we're good."
Yeah, it seems like we're fine. But then of course, Lugnut's tail and Wreck-Gar fall into the bay there, right onto a garbage scow, and this just happens to be right where Porter C. Powell was planning on giving a demonstration to the mayor. And hey, timing works out just right because they get their nice little show of garbage eating, and Porter C. Powell can sell the mayor on his extremely cheap alternative that he can sell for way more money. And Wreck-Gar, he's only good for one thing: garbage.
Yeah, so the nanobots are eating through that garbage, but they're also going to eat through everything else.
Yeah, everyone realizes, oh shit, if they ate through Lugnut's body, they're gonna destroy the city. They're gonna fucking annihilate the city. We gotta get there quick. And Ratchet has this big moment where I'll do it. I'll make the sacrifice if I have to. If I have to fucking die to these microbots to save Detroit and all these fucking shitty flesh bags, I'll do it.
His ultimate sacrifice ends up being apologizing.
That's right. God, it hurts. It hurts so much. But yeah, Wreck-Gar is piloting this barge directly at the shoreline because he's got to bring the garbage to everyone.
Ratchet really is a miserable character in animated, I'm not gonna lie.
He's not having a good time. And yeah, he's got to apologize to Wreck-Gar because, all of this is his fault. I like this bit where Wreck-Gar is like, "Oh, thank you so much for showing me who I am," as he accelerates his garbage scout. And Ratchet's like, no, wait, hang on. But yes, he apologizes to Wreck-Gar. He's like, you weren't, you're not, that shit I said, I was out of pocket. My meter was full.
Actually, important, I forgot that the line happens before this.
Oh, yeah.
Before he apologizes. Yeah. So he's trying to get Wreck-Gar, he's trying to do everything he can to get Wreck-Gar to stop. And he basically said at some point, if you drive this scow into the shore, those nanobots are going to destroy all of Detroit. Even you wouldn't dare to do something that stupid. And Wreck-Gar responds with, "I dare to be stupid."
I'm Wreck-Gar. I dare to be stupid.
And everyone stood up and clapped. Opa homeless style.
That's right. But, they eventually come to terms. They stop the boat halfway through all of the nanobots eating it. Wreck-Gar has, vacuumed them up with a vacuum cleaner. And all seems to be fine. But then
they eat through it.
The nanobots start to leak, and he falls into the water.
I'm saluting so hard. Rip to a real one.
Yeah, and Ratchet's like, "No."
Well, Ratchet tries to Ratchet tries to magnetize him out of it, and he just gets junk parts.
Yeah, and so he just assumes Wreck-Gar's dead, and so he goes over to the shore and screams. He just grabs the mayor and Powell, and just screams at them, "Hey, enough with this fucking garbage shit. Fix it, or I'll fix you." And they agree, and Ratchet says, "This must be what being nice feels like." And Sorry and Bumblebee are just like, I
sure, dude.
Yeah, man, you saved the day. Ultimately, so everything is solved. The final thing is we cut to the fucking bottom of the lake here, and we see Wreck-Gar buried most of the way up in muck. There was a big Allspark explosion early, which you would assume that means he died, but I guess he's fine. I don't know if he needs the Allspark. That's the thing. I don't know if a machine granted life by the Allspark needs the shard to continue living, because it's like if they were given a spark, they should be fine. But because Starscream is actually dead, he needs the shard to keep going.
Yeah, that boy is a walking corpse.
So Rekgar is presumably fine even if he loses the shard. But yeah, we end with him talking to some fish, and that's the end of Garbage In, Garbage Out.
You got some questions though.
We do, including one on Twitter. From what's cosplay cast on Twitter, who says, plays Dare to Be Stupid. Tag yourself. I'm biting off more than I can chew. So let's choose a lyric from Dare to Be Stupid that best represents us.
Okay. Let's see here.
And there are a lot of lyrics of Dare to Be Stupid. I think I choose It's Time to Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys.
I think for me it's Burn Your Candle at Both Ends.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. But yeah, I also quite like It's Time to Make a Mountain Out of a Molehill, so can I have a volunteer?
It's pretty good.
So how about you take us to the Discord?
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, over on Discord, our first question comes from Short Scream Chet. What are your favorite Weird Al non-parody songs? My go-to is Albuquerque.
Albuquerque's really good. God, I mean, so I assume that this is also discounting like not direct song parodies, but also discounting like stylistic parodies, such as Dare to Be Stupid, which is like a style parody of Devo. Let's see. I mean, I've got a lot of songs that I like. I might have picked Albuquerque, but you stole it.
Well, I don't think I know Weird Al as well as you do, so
I
think you
really
probably have more options than I do.
I've always really liked Virus Alert. I don't think that's a parody of anything, but that's a pretty good one.
Swag.
It's a banger.
Nero from Disney Minus asks, garbage? Yes? No? Who tells your story? Sorry, I could only read that in the Hamilton voice.
Oh.
Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
Rekgar does, but he tells it very poorly because he doesn't have all the words.
I do, because I'm an author. Chet again asks, if the rest of the Junkians were a thing in TFA, would they all sound like Weird Al? No, of course not. But they would all sound like various other...
Yeah, they'd all be other parody artists.
Yeah. One would be voiced by Neil Cicierga.
Yeah, there's also definitely one voiced by Emo Phillips, a frequent Weird Al collaborator.
From Mimus the Gay, Daphnis. If you had to manage a classroom with all the human kids we've met so far, where would you rank each kid on a scale of pleasure to have in class / teacher's pet to send him to the principal's office and have him expelled?
Okay, let's get a list of all the kids we've met so far.
All right, let's start with Armada because we did that first.
Rad, Alexis, Carlos, Billy, and Fred.
Alexis is great. She's a pleasure to have in class.
Rad and Carlos seem just fine. I don't think I think maybe they get up to a little bit of hijinks, but they don't seem like they're bad kids.
They're certainly not principal's office. They're just not teachers' pets.
Honestly, maybe not Billy and Fred either. I don't really get the sense that they're like.
They're not even bullies. They're just different friends groups.
Yeah, like I think they're just kind of they keep to themselves.
Yeah.
I think all of the Alexis is a pleasure to have in class. The rest of them are just like they're fine. No problems here. Transformers Prime.
Yeah.
Jack, Miko, and Raph. Jack
is middle of the road. Raph is a pleasure to have in class, and Miko has been suspended 5 times.
Yeah, she's a problem.
She's actually destroyed school property.
Then there's Sari, who I think is the last one because Beast Wars and Cyberverse don't have any human characters.
Yeah.
Sari because she's, a weird, isolated kid who's canonically very bad at social skills, she might be a problem.
And we haven't really gotten to the human. Well, there's Spike.
That's true.
We did G1.
He also seems normal. Chip is a pleasure to have in class.
Chip is a pleasure to have in class. That's right.
He's so good. Remember when he piloted Prowl to kick those guys' asses?
Sorry. Sorry, I think probably acts out, but like
Yeah.
not in a way that's like particularly notable for an
Yeah,
8-year-old.
I think it's like a stay after class, let's have a little chat. It's not a scene to
Yeah.
the principal's office. Miko's
Miko
doing
has,
some cherry bombs in the toilet.
yeah, no, Miko has been like fully suspended 5 times.
Miko has set several fires.
Nero from Disney Minus asks, which extremely dark and edgy media would you put a Weird Al character into Weird Al all over the place while everyone else is being dark and edgy?
Breaking Bad. That's kind of what Saul Goodman is, actually, when you think about it.
A little bit, but I guess not so much since Better Call Saul.
No, then... Ooh! He's not having a good time. God, let's see.
Honestly, like, the first thing I thought of, and I don't know why, because I've never read any of these books or watched any of these movies, but was The Hunger Games.
Oh, fuck. I want Weird Al to be in the Hunger Games. I want him to be killing people, but still be Weird Al.
I want him to be, like, a sponsor.
Yeah.
Like, one of the mentors for them.
Put him in Netflix Castlevania. He would actually, he wouldn't actually be that far out of place. There's
oh my
some weird stuff
god,
that happens in there.
that's awful.
Have him play like a weird demon who hangs out with Isaac.
I'm trying to think of like things that I really consider like dark and edgy. I don't know. Put him in like a fucking Umbrella Academy.
Is that dark and edgy? It's like, I think it's like, I'm not too familiar, I guess, but it seems more offbeat. It seems more like kind of
Yeah,
weird.
I mean, I don't like. Here's the thing: is that like I don't personally enjoy dark and edgy stuff, so I don't really like consume a lot of it.
And I do, but also the problem is if you put a weird guy, like a goofy guy in there, it could take away from things.
No, I know. Put him in Berserk.
Oh, God.
Griffith's court jester.
He can be one of those fucked up demon guys.
There you go. That's my answer.
Oh, God.
Zeffy the Gay Ajax asks, what's the most impressive thing you've ever made out of scraps of garbage? I don't know if this counts because it's not like really garbage. But when I was in I guess it was day camp. When I was a kid, we did one of those egg drop things. And I made a thing that kept my eggs safe out of like cardboard scraps and duct tape, so that was pretty good.
When I was younger, I cosplayed the Heavy from Team Fortress 2. And one of the components of the minigun was a like empty cheese puff barrel, like one of those big bulky like dollar store cheese puff barrels. That pretty much counts. The rest of it was like PVC piping and whatnot, but that garbage was a part of it.
Yeah. Ruby Road Rage Ruby asks, can you elaborate on the D. Snyder's Wreck-Gar proposition from last week onto this episode?
That's all.
I guess it really just depends on how familiar you are with D. Snyder's work. I think if you listen to Twisted Sister, then you can get an idea of what he sounds like as a singer, certainly. But if you actually want to look at his voice work, again, I very much recommend watching, I think it's 2013, it must have been earlier. It was like 2011 to 2012 seminal classic, like cult classic Disney show, Motor City, where he plays the Duke of Detroit. And I think you can really, I think if you listen to him as the Duke of Detroit, you can really understand where I was going with him for Wreck-Gar.
Hey, there isn't a whole lot of Motor City to watch because they didn't make a lot of it because tragedy.
It sucks so much.
They got shit canned.
It was such a good show. It was truly such a good show. You should talk about it on Talk Cycles.
It's on the list.
Oh,
Don't
good.
you worry.
Good. From Sidewinder Sabrina, like Weird Al having his song Dare to Be Stupid in the OG Transformers movie during the Junkians raid and then going on to voice Wreck-Gar, what other singers/musicians that have had songs in Transformers property would you want to voice a Transformer and who?
Okay, so the list is like Stan Bush,
I mean, there's
Linkin
all the
Park.
people who like did songs for like the Bayverse movies.
Yeah, which are Linkin Park and Imagine Dragons. So
And Smashing Pumpkins.
did they? Was that? Oh God, was that a Smashing Pumpkins song at the end of fucking Last Night? Oh, yeah. God, who else?
Wait. Who?
There's
I think
Haley
Doomsday
Steinfeld.
Clock. Yeah, Doomsday Clock is Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, Haley Steinfeld did the song for Bumblebee, but she was also in the movie, so she doesn't really like count.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, because yeah, like everyone else is just kind of like guy. Like I don't want the Imagine Dragons guys to voice anybody. That would be fucking stupid. It was already silly.
I guess I'm gonna go with Billy Corgan.
Oh God. He is the
Like-
most interesting option.
Like, I think I have to go with Billy Corgan. First of all,
Or like Mike Shinoda. I don't know.
I genuinely like Doomsday Clock as a song.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the first thing. He also has like he also does have like a genuinely interesting voice. You may
He
not
does.
like it, but it is fairly unique.
I think I haven't listened to much Smashing Pumpkins. The stuff that I have listened to, I have actually liked. He's just he's just a dick.
He is.
Just sucks.
But who would I have him voice though? Is the bigger question.
Let's be like a fucking skeezy guy, like Swindle, I guess. But he's a different kind of skeeze.
He could be a good Swindle. I was also just thinking about Huffer.
Just whining.
Yeah. He has a very nasally voice.
Oh wait, I just remember the actual answer for the best non-parody Weird Al song. It's Nature Trail to Hell. That's the best non-parody one. That song goes
great.
hard.
We have two separate answers then. Fantastic.
That song goes fucking hard.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say Billy Corgan is Huffer.
That yeah, Autobots these days are too woke. Prime got a problem with it. It's like Huffer. Shut the fuck
Okay,
up.
but first of all, that's what he sounds like, and second
That
of
is.
all, that's something Huffer would say.
Oh, pronoun bots, huh? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I think that's a good answer for me. Do you have anything?
No.
Or are you too caught up in the beautiful world I've created?
I love You should listen to my podcast, Prime. I talk about this stuff a lot. No, I don't think I will.
And they're making fun of men.
You know, the real victims here, cis white men, Optimus.
From Slipstream Sam Reel, what's your favorite montage song? Okay, so a lot of this again just comes from like lack of knowledge. I don't watch that many like montage sequences, but I'm gonna go with Eye of the Tiger.
It's the iconic one. It's the classic. It's also the one that jumped into my mind because it's like, yeah, that's the montage song.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to bring up any other like really good musical montages, like at least ones that I know the song of. I think I can think of plenty of like really great montages. Speaking about Better Call Saul, there's a really great like scam montage in an episode of that. But like the song isn't a big part of it. The song isn't necessarily super like jump. It just fits very well. But yeah, I think it like Eye of the Tiger, the Rocky IV montage is iconic for a reason. It's just like it's so fucking like.
Yeah, I mean, there's also like Hearts on Fire, which is also from a Rocky movie.
Mm-hmm. Next is from Aurora Animated.
Danger Zone.
Is that in a montage? I guess it is. That movie
It's in Top Gun.
Actually, the better montage in that is Playing with the Boys, which is the volleyball montage. They're all shirtless and sweaty. And
yeah, but I
volleyball.
mean, for me, it is. I mean, it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, we could have just said The Touch.
Fuck, yeah, it's the touch. It's never. I just remember that the thing where Optimus like ramps off of something and transforms into fucking robot mode and in fucking.
Well, they're not
three
asking.
dudes.
To be fair, they're not. He's not asking about what's our favorite montage. He's asking about what the favorite montage song is.
But I do like the touch more than Eye of the Tiger.
Probably, yeah. So I guess it's the touch. We're Transformers fans through and through, folks. What can we say? Chet again asks, who's the worst Transformers character?
Oh, you skipped one.
Oh, sorry, I did. Aurora animated. What funny thing would you like to do with immortality? Not have it. I would hate to be immortal.
That seems bad.
I mean, okay, actually, I would assassinate people. I would assassinate many world. I would make a doohickey and give a old Shinzo Abe.
Yeah, are we thinking like immortality as in don't age and die of natural causes, or immortality as in like Jack Harkness, this Starscream style, you can just die and come back forever?
I'm assuming that it basically means death has no like permanent effect on you.
Become TikTok famous.
I mean, I could do that.
Reinvent Jackass. All of those Jackass guys, they're aging out of it. They're getting too old to keep hitting each other in the nuts with like chainsaws or whatever. But I can do it. I'm immortal.
Yeah, I think there are some people I'd like to Shinzo Abe.
That's, you know what? Yeah, you got to bring the doohickey out. You got a list, you know?
Yeah, I'm not going to name names.
No, the list, it's a hypothetical list. It's
a hypothetical list.
It's in Minecraft. You have to go. You have
right,
to log
exactly.
into Minecraft to
this
view
is
the list.
This is all our parody in Minecraft. Ways to get myself on several lists. From Chet again. Who's the worst Transformers character you could give him immortality to besides Starscream? Huffer.
I've got great news, Prime. I can't die anymore.
Billy Corgan's Huffer.
You know why everyone keeps dying around here? It's because y'all got the jab. The Decepticons are putting bad stuff in there. I have a podcast all about it.
From Ruby Road Rage, Ruby. What are your thoughts on Cybertronian kibble etiquette? Do you think guys like Wreck-Gar who leave it all hanging out and have a giant backpack are considered low class and boorish?
Yes.
I think it's sexy.
I think that, okay, so like Bulkhead, you know, I actually do think that's interesting. I think that people with a lot of like loose bits hanging out are, you know, they let that stuff hang. They're like crust punks. Because we see a lot of the Elite Guard have very like clean designs that don't have a whole lot of kibble. Like think about like Ultra Magnus or Jazz or even like Sentinel to a certain extent. Because like his kibble is very close to his body and sort of adds to his knight like silhouette. So yeah, I think it is like a country bumpkin sort of thing. It's like one of those like ass flaps for overalls.
I think it's sexy.
Mm-hmm.
A Bridge to Cass asks, have you all seen the Weird Al biopic? What you think? Unfortunately, I haven't.
I have. It's great. It's a lot of fun. It's a very funny movie.
It's very much on my list, though. We're talking about Weird 2023.
Yes, it is quite a movie. I would recommend if no one hasn't seen it yet, you should seek it out. It's a fucking hoot. Daniel Radcliffe is so good in it.
What's your favorite bridge? I'm particularly fond of the Brooklyn Bridge.
I don't live near any like super famous bridges, but I do like that there Golden Gate. I think it's got a nice look to it.
Yeah.
The red, all of the like suspension cables. I think it looks real nice.
Is Dump Truck Wreck-Gar a Sisyphus?
Well, we must imagine Wreck-Gar happy, and he is. He's thrilled to be here.
And
I think that's what makes him not a Sisyphus. He's not aware that his existence is torture.
And finally, which mythical figures are the rest of the animated Autobots?
Rolling through Greek mythology Rolodex.
I think Bumblebee is Hermes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it doesn't have to be just Greek.
It could be anybody.
Yeah.
And of course, whenever I try to think of anything, my brain like dumps all of the information I'm looking for out into the fucking street, and I just can't remember anything. It's like,
I think Optimus, I would say, is Balder.
That makes sense. He's like a fucking
very noble
guy. Yeah, he's a very heroic fella. Prowl, who's like someone who used to, I mean, I'm sure you can find multiple examples of like a guy who used to be a shithead who now walks a noble path. I can't think of one though, because like I said, my brain tossed it all out with the bathwater when I tried to think of what a mythological guy was.
I don't know. I felt like my inclination was to go for one of the Egyptian guys. I was thinking maybe Thoth, who's like he's like the one of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
God.
And Prowl does love to learn things. He's very curious about the natural world.
And he's very subdued.
Ratchet is the old man of the sea.
Ratchet's Poseidon.
Oh, God.
Oh, no, little old man of the sea. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Bulkhead
is the last one. We're not counting any of the supporting ones. Although I guess Ultra Magnus is Odin. And that comparison becomes more apparent later, by the way. More fitting. He never
Bulkhead also feels like one of those Norse guys to me.
He feels like
a Viking to me.
Yeah, he's like a big guy, but he's got a soft heart. He's like a Viking bard, you know, because he's got an artist's soul.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a name.
I might just give him Thor, honestly.
Yeah, like classic Thor, like real Thor.
Yeah.
The Thor that all the gamers got mad at in that new God of War game because they made him cool and fat.
God, well, I've never heard of gamers getting mad about how people look in games before.
Famously, a very reasonable group of people, gamers.
Especially when it comes to physical experience. Did you see the mod that yassified the characters in Final Fantasy 16? Are you kidding me? It's Square Enix. What are you doing?
Yeah, they already look like beautiful anime people. What do you want? What are you trying? You're removing the character design from them. You're making them like freakish. They look smooth. They're too smooth. Yeah, I saw yassified Cloud. I was like, why do you need to yassify Cloud?
He's already yassified.
He's the archetypal beautiful anime twink. Like, what are you doing? Why are we here?
And then from Haybine, we have the episode title Mission Accomplished asks the viewer to imagine what it would be like if George W. Bush could turn into a truck. In addition to being an actual real-life war criminal, what Transformer would be the feckless toadying British Prime Minister in Sentinel Prime's Coalition of the Willing? Holy shit. Welcome to the Discord.
Who's a British guy? Who's a British Transformer? That's a problem. There aren't that many of them because it's not a British show.
It'd be a double-decker bus.
It would be a double-decker bus, but we need a guy. I think we should. Yeah, it would be like a double-decker bus who he's got a big fucking. He's got like one of those
James Corden.
Oh, good Christ! I'm glad his career imploded before he could touch this franchise.
He's still out there. What is that thing? It's like, don't wish death on your enemies, wish that they're voiced by James Corden. It's possible. Ugh. It happened to me.
Look, he's still out there, but he's not doing. He got fucking shit canned. He's not out. We can only hope that he just stays home and doesn't go near this show. But yeah, he's like I was trying to think of like a guy to assign that role, like who is this sort, because like the other thing is like, if you want to keep the metaphor, it could also be like another subfaction, like a different colony planet, right? Of like a different group of Cybertronians.
Yeah.
But none of the leaders really fit that.
And then Haybine asked a second question, which is also, how many times can you watch that montage in a row? A lot. Like it's not that long, and it's very good to watch.
It's pretty funny. He gets his shit rocked.
And, like, having it under, like, Megatron's speech
to
the Decepticon army is just, like, chef's kiss.
Which is worth noting. Badass speech.
Badass speech.
Like, the more I rewatch anime, the more I'm like, hell yeah. Like, this version of Megatron might be my favorite one. He's so, like, cool.
Our last question comes from Nero from Disney Minus. It is Weird Al's Night of Murder, where he will kill a random character in a comical and outrageous fashion. But, due to your history with him, Weird Al has sworn that anyone you place under your protection will be spared the Night of Murder. Who do you protect from Weird Al during this month? It's Night of Murder. Who does Weird Al kill, and how funny was the murder?
Is it any character at all?
Let's keep it to Transformers, at least. Like, let's keep it to the franchise.
Sure. Well, okay. I need him to swear that he will not touch Horn on Cyclonus's homosexual little head.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he should turn Getaway into an accordion.
I mean, the answer is Getaway, for sure.
The answer is always, he's the most murderable guy.
I would wish things on Getaway that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, honest to God. He's
enemy number one. Like, Tarn, Overlord, I'll go to have a beer with those guys before I fucking give Getaway a goddamn inch.
Getaway's fatal flaw is that he's a guy who sucks in a way that's not interesting at all.
That's right. He's a guy. He's a guy who sucks in a very familiar and annoying way.
Yeah,
he's like one of the Paul brothers.
There's no panache to him.
He thinks he's got a lot of panache. He thinks he's fucking swaggy, but he's not.
He just sucks. And
he thinks he's the guy who sucks. Plus, he's got depression, but he's just the guy who sucks.
Yeah. And it gives me depression when I see him.
But I think Weird Al turned him into an accordion.
That would be very funny. He should be turned into accordion by being stepped on by Overlord.
Yeah, he gets the pipes treatment.
Yeah, he gets the pipes treatment. That's right. But he turns into a funny accordion from it instead. That's right. I would. Who would I save? Probably Wheeljack.
Yeah.
I really like Wheeljack, and the IDW one. Wheeljack goes through a lot of shit. He deserves a break. That's it for us.
Yes. So we have been Prime Cuts. You can follow us on Twitter at Prime Cuts Pod. Do you see that they're like new users have to pay $1 to get features on the site? And I was like,
is that real?
Yes, but I was also like, what new users? Everybody's here. Who's gonna be here? No one's gonna join the site except a bunch of. I guess it's to like curb bots. I don't fucking know. It's stupid. But yeah, that's a feature. I presume that's what they talked him down to after he was like, I'm gonna make everyone pay $8 a month. It's like, you can't do that. The site will cease to exist. He's like, fine. Yeah, you can find us on at PrimeCutSpot on Twitter there for now. We'll probably get a Tumblr or a Blue Sky up and running at some point.
Or both.
Or both, yeah. I am Nero. You can find me on Twitter at Dragon Smoocher, on co-host at Dragon Sungler, on Blue Sky at Nero Wyvern, Blue Sky at social. Tumblr, Cyclonus with a 5 at the end of it. And I've got a bunch of other podcasts, such as Radio Free Heidelin, the Final Fantasy XIV show I do with my friend Jane, which you can find on Tumblr at radiofreehighland.tumblr.com. I also have Talk Cycles, the monthly animation podcast I do with her. Covered Over the Garden Wall this past week. That show's good. Just a perfect little music box of autumn vibes. That's talkcycles.tumblr.com. And that is me.
I'm Audrey. You can find me on Tumblr, Twitter, co-host, and Blue Sky at Optimal and Prime. That's my funny robot internet joke. You can also listen to the other podcast I do called Pot of Greed. It's about Yu-Gi-Oh! We're in the middle, towards the end actually now, 5Ds. I've been on like one episode in the last 2 months because I've had shit going on, but good show, folks. I've also been cast in a radio drama that is being actively worked on right now, and hopefully we'll have more information about it soon. And I am starting a New York foodie podcast on the Moonshot Network called I'm Eden Here. And that's it for me. So until next time, I am going to get knocked down, but I get up again. And I get knocked down, and I get up again. And you're never going to bring me down. Because I have a piece of immortality embedded in my skull. Transform and roll out.
Prime, have you heard about the crime levels in Iacon? I just don't think you should live there anymore. You should come out to the suburbs with me. We can hang out on every Saturday, and we can watch. You can listen to my podcast. Anyway, I'm going to transfer into Rolla. Just think about what I said, okay?
Not scared, bro.
I'm not scared. I just think I just think it's better if you come out here. It's just a hellhole. I saw it on Facebook.
God. Peach.
Peach.